Recording 2. Right, I was talking about sculpture and painting. I want to add, by the way, that the mural I was talking about on the Last Judgment is actually not from a cathedral, but from a very wealthy parish church in a English city. A reminder that depending on the wealth of the city and so forth, that you could get magnificent parish churches as much as cathedrals. The sculptures painted, which would again added to colour. You go inside a medieval cathedral in its glory, with its stained glass windows, some whitewashing on the walls, some murals, maybe some tapestries. The sculptures would be often painted in full colour. You have various reliquaries containing saints, remnants, candles, all sorts of decor. Extraordinarily beautiful, extraordinarily colourful, an extraordinary array, dazzling the senses. Spectacular place. But if one looks at these sculptures, at the top are two scenes from Life of Mary. On the left is the Annunciation, an angel coming down to Mary and announcing she's pregnant with Christ, and on the left is a visitation when St. John the Baptist's mother visits, and they're both pregnant. And this is where St. John receives grace while he's in the womb. But the faces, I love the angel. If you enlarge the photograph and look at the angel on the Annunciation, there's a happy smile. They're wearing medieval type garments, clothing, of course. But these are pretty good sculptures, and as you can see, you're getting in a visual an education on the Bible. On the right is one of those classic Mary, Madonna and Child, as they will become called. It's a 13th century, called an S curve. Madonna, you can see the lovely shape. Again, it's that added element to Christianity, where you do have the compassionate mother of Christ, Mary becoming a great figure of compassion and support for people. She has a crown, she's a queen. But a marvellous sculpture, something that I think provides a more humane society to Christianity, as opposed to that Last Judgment mural I've got up there. So you get both. Again, very rich. So beautiful, beautiful churches. Some quality art. Remember, these are done by craftsmen. They're not by artists. There are no artists, just craftsmen. Pretty darn good job. So then a great outpouring of artistic works, mostly in church building at this point. Keep these cathedrals in mind, keep the cities in mind when we next meet. We'll be talking about the universities, which are run from the cathedral, from the bishop, in the heart of the cathedral cities, and this flowering of culture, technology, is going to be part of the university culture too, so we want to link that. But let's get out of the cities, because the other part of medieval architecture that we all think about, we'll go to the next slide, is castles, cathedrals and castles, right? On the left is a Crusader castle in Syria, Crequi de Chevalier. It was recently bombed in the Civil War. I don't think it took heavy damage, but it has been damaged. On the right is a castle that Edward I built in Wales, when he conquered Wales. This is impressive in itself, these castles. The size, the complexity of the defences. Pre-gunpowder age, these are extremely difficult to capture They have very thick walls. The various towers give the defenders some tremendous height, and they're built, if you notice, the towers tend to stick out to a certain amount along the walls. So if attackers reach the walls to try and climb them with ladders or to try and breach them with a battering ram, you can shoot down and sideways from the towers at the people on the walls. So sophisticated defensive techniques. The approach to the gates is usually well covered. If you see there's a little bridge there, it'd be very difficult to run across that bridge and attack the gate while being assailed from people on the walls and towers. Often there's a moat, if possible, with water, making it again difficult to tunnel in or just to attack. Inside would be relatively sophisticated living quarters. In the early period, in the 11th, maybe 12th century, you're probably in some fairly cramped rooms in the biggest tower. But as we go through the Middle Ages, more and more of what's in the middle of the castle are just basic living quarters. A nice great hall, kitchens, and more comfortable arrangements for the inhabitants. As it goes more from a fort, remember the original Motte and Bailey castle, the wooden ones, and become more a residence and place where power is displayed and imposed. But even entering the castle and going to the Great Hall of the Lord is an impressive place to go. Again, tremendous piece of architecture. Inside, as the living quarters do improve in quality, again you'll see some decor, tapestries, paintings, a little bit of furniture. There will be some colour. Tapestries are very good for covering walls, reducing drafts as through a layer of insulation, and providing a lot of cover. I'll show you tapestries shortly. But the architecture, the design, these are military masterpieces, at least in terms of pre-gunpowder age. Most of the time, if you want to take a well-defended castle, you have to besiege it rather than capture it. You have to surround it, cut it off from supplies, and wait for them to run out of food and water. If as long as your besieging army doesn't itself catch dysentery or something and all die. There's an interior. There are tapestries. This is a particularly rich collection from the very end of the Middle Ages, but gives you an impression. Again, you don't have a huge amount of furniture in this period. They're not all lounging around on sofas and armchairs and with televisions on TV stands. Storage chests, tables as needed, chairs to eat from, to sit at while eating. Floor might be strewn with straw. The floor might be strewn with straw in order to not be treading on just straight wooden floor with no carpet. Obviously there would not be light bulbs in the chandelier, more likely the different form of lighting, but the tapestry is important here. Again, you don't have perspective, you're not looking for total realism, you're portraying scenes and sending symbols and messages and metaphors. They do their art like they read their Bible, complex, full of depth, and not looking for literal meaning. So, the castle. Amazing military fort, and again, some secular decor. Place of power. Right, let's talk about the people in the castle. Let's talk about the culture. We've done the architecture and the art. By the way, I mentioned briefly the art's called Gothic. That's a term that comes later, during the Italian Renaissance, when the Italian Renaissance people are trying to completely copy classical styles. And they look at this medieval art and architecture and go, this isn't Roman, this isn't Greek, it's barbaric, it's Gothic, after the Goths. It's Gothic, it's barbaric. Because it's not Roman enough or Greek enough. The term's stuck. Just now it's just a style, a Gothic. I rather like it. I rather like the fact that in the Middle Ages here, in this period after the 11th through the rest of the Middle Ages, it's original. We come up with original technology, we come up with original styles that suit the culture, and it's not a blind copying. To give you an example of that, we'll move from the tapestries down to the next slide called chivalry. And I think we'll cover that one on the next video.